Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about a viral video of a yellow truck driver who lost it after he found out he could possibly wind up losing his pension after putting in 30 years on the job.
Fucking job! It ain't you! It's these motherfuckers right here! There's the motherfuckers on the top! But now we gotta do this shit again!
So all I have to say is
we gotta do this shit again! There's nobody here tell me why I get emotional, why you talk like this my fucking
that's fine, you can do that.
You don't know what I motherfucking feel! I want my ass over this motherfucking
Exactly.
I've been here 30-something motherfucking years!
Yeah, I agree too.
30-something fucking years! You tell me I ain't got no motherfucking pension!
Yeah, I agree.
Nobody tell me to calm my ass down. Fuck everybody tell me to calm down. God damn it. This is my motherfucking money y'all playing with.
You're right, Dwight.
Fuck that shit.
So this is what I'll say.
You better tell me how the motherfucking feels. Fuck that shit, man.
So this is what I'll say.
Fuck this shit.
Anytime the government
Analyze that
anytime
shit.
the government bails out a corporation, okay, so
Now, after I watched that viral video that was provided to me by one of my viewers, I started to do my own research into the reasons why that brother got so upset on the floor of that yellow trucking warehouse. Now, as I did my research, I began to find out that the yellow trucking company is one of the last few union shops that goes out here and does trucking all across the country. Now, the trucking industry has been changing for some time after federal deregulation, and we have gone from truck drivers working for companies like Yellow and doing driving with their rigs to a lot of truck drivers going out here and having their own rigs and running their own non-union truck companies, and those non-union drivers have primarily been the ones securing lots of contracts in order to transport materials all across the country. And with these independent truck drivers going out here and getting their own jobs to transport cargo, union shops like the Yellow Trucking Company have been struggling to stay afloat. Even as they have been going out here buying up other competitors, they have had a problem being able to keep their market share, and they've had a problem keeping their market share because these trucking companies that are union shops have a lot of overhead, and they have a lot of overhead costs as related to their large pool of employees, because the Yellow Trucking Company at one time employed over 50,000 workers, but these days barely employs 22,000 Teamsters and 8,000 workers in its 30,000 workforce at their company. Now, the Yellow Trucking Company has had to deal with a lot of fiscal issues as related to its operations, and as it's had to deal with all of these fiscal issues as related to its operations, the Yellow Trucking Company has been struggling to stay afloat, and has been struggling to stay afloat over the course of many problems that have been related to the national economy, such as the pandemic. And things were so bad that President Trump decided to give the Yellow Trucking Company a $700 million Paycheck Protection Program loan, because he deemed the Yellow Trucking Company an essential job. And he deemed the Yellow Trucking Company an essential job because the truckers were basically transporting goods all across the country, and he wanted to make sure that those truckers managed to stay and keep their jobs over the course of the pandemic. So Donald Trump tried to help the Yellow Trucking Company, but it seems like the Yellow Trucking Company has a lot of managers who have a yellow stripe down their back, because it seems like these managers really don't have good management skills, And that could be one of the problems that has been a problem with the yellow trucking company. Managers who are disconnected from their people, managers who are not really good at adapting to a changing marketplace. And that's possibly one of the reasons why the yellow trucking company has been having a lot of problems. And that's what led to that explosion of anger on the floor of that warehouse from that brother. He was upset because this yellow trucking company was filled with a lot of yellow managers who didn't go out here and put in a payment for the pensions of all of those union employees who go out here and pay union dues. I mean, these union employees were expecting management to go out here and do something like go out here and pay for their pensions. I mean, this money is deducted out of these men and women's checks over there as they're working on the road. I mean, this is a deduction that comes out of their checks for their pensions, and they were expecting management to go out here and do the responsible thing and put in a payment for their pensions. Now, when many of these yellow trucking employees found out that their pensions weren't going to be paid, a lot of drivers were going to go on strike. And they were going to go on strike because they felt like they were betrayed by management. And I have to say that they possibly were betrayed by management, because management's job is to go out here and manage the money, and they didn't do the job of managing the money. No, they were just out here. I'm wondering what they did with this money, and that's why I believe there needs to be an audit done on yellow. There needs to be an audit done, because you have to wonder, where did $700 million in government money go? That's a critical question that I believe needs to be asked by the government, and also needs to be asked by an auditor. There needs to be a question asked, where did $700 million go as related to the yellow trucking company? Because $700 million should be able to keep a company in operation for an extended period of time, and $700 million should have been able to keep a company afloat. $700 million should have kept the company in operation for an extended period of time. And that's why I'm wondering what happened to this money. And that's what many of those union employees are wondering, what happened to this money that was taken out of their checks as they were out here doing runs across the country throughout the pandemic, and even afterward. You had drivers doing their jobs, and they're wondering, okay, what happened to our pension money? And that's what's got that guy upset, because he's looking at his retirement being lost. I mean, this man thought that working at this company for over 30 years, he would be able to eventually retire and leave this job and have a $3,000 a month pension that would allow him to be able to cover his bills. That's what this man thought, but working at a union job would mean some sort of job security and some sort of retirement for himself. That is what this man thought he was going to receive, but he had the rug yanked out from under him by incompetent management that looks to go out here and make their world smooth by going out here and looking to go out here and declare possible bankruptcy in the future to cover up all their debts, because that is what people are rumoring about the yellow trucking company. They are rumoring that the yellow trucking company may possibly file for bankruptcy on Monday, and they believe that they may possibly use this as a way to get out from under all of the debts they incurred as related to years of incompetent management, a management that basically did not adapt to a changing marketplace, did not adapt to a changing trucking marketplace, did not adapt to a changing business. And when I look at what happened at the yellow trucking company, it really reminds me a lot of what happened in 2012 with Hostess, another company that basically imploded due to bad management, and a management that really did not keep the company competitive, a company that had gotten filled with a lot of comfortable employees who didn't really take a look at the changing world around them and continued to just take their jobs and their lives for granted. Meanwhile, the rank and file bakers, they were out here just trying to do their job. And as they were trying to do their job, they were looking to try to make a living at a company where the leadership just wasn't there. And then when they went on strike, the entire company imploded and wound up being bought by McKee Foods for pennies on the dollar. But what really is even worse here than Hostess is the audacity of Yellow management. I mean, Yellow management, even when they got this $700 million PPP loan, what they did was go out here and give themselves bonuses and raises, but didn't really think about investing anything in the business. And that was, again, slap in the face to all of those drivers who were driving all throughout this pandemic, drivers who were driving all across this pandemic, trying to keep that many people with essentials, food and services and other products in stores. I mean, these drivers basically were looking to go out here and do the work of keeping America running, but instead of getting any reward, all they got was a slap in the face from all of these managers who basically show me that America clearly has a management problem, and a really bad management problem, because I'm looking at the top of these companies and I'm not really seeing leaders. I'm just seeing a lot of comfortable people who really take their position in the marketplace for granted. And as they take their marketplace in the marketplace for granted, they don't go out here and take on basic responsibilities for their employees, because paying that pension should have been the first thing management would do. Even in the face of a bankruptcy, you want to make sure that those employees' pensions are taken care of. But when I look at this whole situation with Yellow, it just shows me how yellow the management and executives are, because no employee should be sitting up here scared that their retirement will be put at risk. I mean, this man worked for over 30 years at this company. He worked for over 30 years at this Yellow trucking company. He thought he would have a secure job. He thought that this secure job would be looking out for him. He thought that union jobs would mean job security and somebody looking out for him. But it's clear that the union job is no more secure than a non-union job in this case, because when you have management that is incompetent, and that's, I have to say, as related to American culture, because this is a cultural thing, because the Hostess situation, the Disney situation, the Warner Brothers Discovery situation, I'm seeing where there's a management problem and we have no leaders at these companies. And because there are no leaders at these companies, this is why people aren't getting looked out for. And this is where I can understand the anger that that brother had, because he trusted those people in management to go out here and take the money that was taken out of his paycheck and put that money and pay it into the pension he had invested in for years. Now, this man has every right to be angry, because he's looking at a future where he can't retire. He's looking at a future where he won't be able to pay his bills when he becomes elderly. He's looking at a future where his health care isn't going to be there for him if he starts to get older and sick. This man is looking at a dark future, and he's looking at a dark future that was created by incompetent management that wasn't caring about the people that worked for them. I mean, again, I'm wondering, how could you blow through $700 million? That's a critical question, again, that I believe an investigation needs to be led in. And what I further see is that politics is being played, because you would think that the Biden administration would be looking to try to find out what happened to that money. I mean, when little guys go out here and can't account for the PPP money, like actor Austin St. John, they go after them. But when big companies do this, the Biden administration is silent. And again, I find that to be interesting. I mean, is this all about politics? I mean, that's another critical question I have to ask, because trucking is important to maintaining a supply chain that has gotten really, again, changed or is related to its market with small independent truckers, and the the fall of yellow trucking could have a major impact on the U.S. economy because we've got almost 30,000 people who may possibly be out of work because management's whole plan is to possibly declare bankruptcy on July 31st and make that their way out of the mess that they made because they didn't know how to adapt to a changing market. And again, that really shows us that the problem here is leadership, and that's what this man was looking for. He trusted these managers to lead as related to his pension, and when he found out there was nobody there to take the lead or accountability or responsibility, this is why this man basically lost his temper. He lost his temper because he's looking at his life basically being upheaved. He's got the rug yanked out from under him. So I understand this man's frustration because I'm going to be 50 in a month, and I understand how hard it's going to be because I don't have any sort of retirement that I can get because I haven't been able to find a job in some time. So I feel bad for him because he's now in the same place that I am. I mean, he's in the same box that I'm in. And again, everybody out here now, we know that we can't trust these companies as related to things like our pensions. And I believe it's time to start demanding that we get some laws on the books to ensure that our pensions and retirement programs are separate from these companies' assets and separate from these companies' assets and put under people who are not a part of management, because it's clear that management these days has gotten too comfortable, too lazy, and is filled with too many incompetents who got their job through nepotism, favoritism, and cronyism. And instead of them looking out for people, all they're doing is looking for a way to get away from being responsible, because again, no man should be out here and having to worry about his pension 33 years after working on a job. I mean, this is something that would be unheard of back in the 70s or the 60s or even the 80s at some companies. If a person wanted to retire, they knew that their money was there and they could go out here and retire and be able to maintain their lifestyles. That was all what pensions and Social Security and all this stuff was for. And it seems like America again has been lost as related to that whole situation, and it's lost because we've got nobody looking out for American people. And not looking out for American people, again, is what Donald Trump campaigned on. And sadly, this whole situation with the yellow trucking company and the yellow managers there, this is proving a point that made Trump very popular. America's putting its people last and not taking care of the business of taking care of the people who keep our businesses and our commerce running. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation to the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint and help me be able to keep this channel going, you can go out here and pick up some of the books like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my sorority novel, The Thetas, my vampire novel, Eternal Night, and my other books like A Recipe for Success and my men's issues books. You can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.